Welcome to this explainer. Today we're doing something a bit different. We're going on a forensic audit. We're going to trace the invisible fences that shape our modern lives, all the way back to their historical roots. If you've ever felt like your movement, your time, or even your literal worth is constantly being measured, stamped, or boxed in by systems you didn't even create, well, you absolutely aren't alone. Today we're diving deep into where those boundaries actually came from. We'll be looking at that fascinating transition from ancient open land stewardship to the modern state-controlled enclosures that, let's be honest, we usually just accept as the natural laws of the universe. So here is our roadmap for understanding this cage. 1. The open veld. 2. Enclosing the rivers. 3. Fencing the mind. 4. The bureaucracy of control. 5. Modern invisible fences. And finally, 6. Dismantling your cage. Let's get right into it.
Part 1, the open veld, taking us back to a time of dynamic equilibrium. We really have to start our foundation before the colonial fences even existed. For centuries, right up through the 1500s, pre-colonial life was defined by this profound communal trust and a lived physics of interconnectedness, a concept known as Ubuntu. But then things shift rapidly. In 1652, Jan van Riebeeck plants a literal hedge of wild almond and brambles at the Cape. And that wasn't just landscaping, right? It was a border, the very first fence. Fast forward to the early 1900s, and you see the rapid, systematic onset of modern administrative restrictions. Huge policies, like the 1912 Water Act and the 1913 Natives Land Act, systematically replaced those indigenous knowledge systems with rigid state monopolies. Now, a lot of people think indigenous land stewardship was just, chaotic wandering. But it wasn't primitive at all. It was actually highly sophisticated. Think about it. A cattle herder didn't look at a valley and try to calculate rent. They looked at the grass and the water and asked what the ecosystem itself needed. It was fluid, it was entirely relationship-based, and it acted like a giant mutual insurance policy. If the rains failed, you just shared grazing land with your neighbor. No paperwork needed. Contrast that with the modern private property laws brought in by the British. That system is rigid, it's totally transaction-based, it treats the earth like a commodity to be carved up, owned absolutely by one individual, and ultimately exhausted. So, as we wrap up this first chapter, I want you to just pause for a second. Think about the boundaries you observe every single day, and ask yourself, what borders in your life have you just accepted as totally natural that are actually completely invented? Keep that in the back of your mind as we keep going.
Moving on to Part 2, Enclosing the Rivers. This is where we look at the physical cage.
So the physical wire of our cage wasn't just built on land. We literally started enclosing the rivers, basically throwing a fence around something as vital and seemingly unfenceable as water. Everything really changed with the right pair.